Hello, lovely humans. Lana here with another chatty video on a commute. And gosh, a lot of videos have been inspired by listening to the We Can Do Hard Things podcast. I'm really grateful to a friend who introduced me to it. And I just finished listening to the podcast episode with Ross Gay, and I'm really inspired to read his work now, because so much of what was talked about really aligns with the things that I'm working on and that have been resonating with me in terms of my, personal development and spiritual journey. There's a lot of talk about recognizing our interconnectedness as humans, and leaning into connection, and also, I guess, creating perspective in our life by realizing that we are gonna die. We're all gonna die, and that finiteness of life brings so much more value. Anyway, they talked about joy a lot as well. But what I wanted to talk about was something they were sharing about relationships and what makes good relationships, and an aspect of creating healthy relationships is not knowing other people really well and knowing everything about them. It's about the constant process of unknowing the people you love, to be able to know them better and to find new delight in them. Because when you think you know everything, then it's like there's nothing left to learn, right? And so that kind of takes a lot of the, excitement, joy, freshness out of a relationship. And it's also kind of egotistical, I already know everything about you. I already know everything about this. It's how can we? We barely know ourselves in completeness. And this is something I feel like my husband is able to do really well for me, and something that I'm trying to do better for him. It's something I've always really appreciated about a relationship, in that I feel like I'm a constant evolution of a being, which, I guess I'm doing my job right on this planet. And I'm constantly amazed and surprised and grateful to him for taking every version of me as it comes and loving it and not resisting that change, because I could see how that could be scary for a lot of people. But and I think there's definitely moments where I'm still surprised by him, or where I'm oh my god, I forgot this about you, and I'm trying to notice those moments more, so that I am more grateful to them, and then thus encouraged to continue to flex that muscle. But anyway, the sort of flip side to unknowing the people you love, to be able to know them better, is to have people in your life that treat you like this constant, they already know everything about you and you're not changing. And that kind of brought up a few things for me, because there are people in my life that, to their, what's the word, to cut them some slack, I may not have necessarily let them in on all of the things about me that are changing and my inner world. But Ross was talking about in the podcast about a moment where he was talking to a friend on the phone, and I thought he couldn't see the friend's face, but he was sharing something, and imagine the friend to have had kind of a kind of reaction, and that felt crappy. It felt like a moment of disconnection, and I recognize that feeling in myself, and how in the moments where somebody treats you or reacts to something you've said, or just people will always kind of define you and continue to define you in the way they talk about you. And in those moments that have happened to me where someone's talking about who Lana is, and they describe her, Lana, as like an old Lana version in my mind, or miss the mark in terms of my view of who I am, that can feel really isolating and really disconnecting, because it's like, oh, this person who I thought saw me doesn't actually see me, or doesn't actually see me the way I thought they did, or see me as the real quote-unquote me, or I don't know, the up-to-date version. And yeah, I don't know, I just think that that's such a case for the need to be vulnerable and to allow yourself to break apart in the presence of the people you love and trust, and to learn to trust them. Because if you are always together, like put together and holding yourself together, you don't let people in, and you don't allow people the opportunity to know you and to see you for who you really are. And so how can you then expect them to know you fully? And so, I don't know, I think in a world, I've learned this all my life, to be infallible, to be tough, to be as perfect as you can, to fit neatly in a box and not need things from other people, and to just don't demonstrate your need. It's like the complete opposite, I think, of what actually makes life worth living, and what allows us to feel less alone and more connected in this life. And yeah, I don't know, I just think that's really interesting. I also think like it's interesting to think about like the society that we're in, and how I feel like we continue to be told that we should be self-sufficient, and like if we need to rely upon anyone, we should rely on like the state to support us, because we're so isolated now and we're not living in community, when that's, I don't know, I think what we really need, I mean, obviously having a government support network is also helpful, but I don't think we need to submit all of our power to it. Like, there are still ways that we can support ourselves and those around those around us. So anyway, yeah, it was a really good episode. I encourage you to listen to the whole thing. I'm just like sharing the few little tidbits that kind of brought up some stuff for me. But yeah, like, this is even a message to me, like, try to notice, if you can, the people that make you feel most seen, and in those moments where you don't feel seen, examine why, like, where's the disconnect, how does that make you feel, and I guess also, like, are there now ways that you can create more opportunity to show yourself to others? Yeah, I don't know. I think I've talked in the past too about how not everyone deserves to know everything about you, and not everyone deserves to know every part of you. And I think that's still true. So obviously the caveat is to do that with the people you trust and feel safe around, because to us sharers and givers, not everyone deserves our love and attention and the energy that we so easily pour out, because that is a finite resource if you are not being filled back up with the light and love and support and energy and attention of other people. I think it is reciprocal, and I think the reason why we struggle to build community and maintain community is that we've broken down a lot of those self-sustaining systems of support where we can give and get. So how can you today flex that muscle of unlearning others? Are there ways that you're walking into situations with these built-in assumptions of how a person is going to be, how a situation is going to go down? And sometimes that can be helpful, but sometimes that can be harmful and can, be missed opportunities for even deeper connection. So that's something that I'm going to try today. And I've found that it's a humbling practice, and I think it helps me connect with people that I otherwise might feel like are above me and that I wouldn't have the ability to relate to. But simply by being human and our equal desire to be known and seen, it does connect us, no matter what stage of life we are at, what job, what class we are in, socially, economically. Yeah, so I don't know, it's been helpful to me, hope it's helpful to you. Thank you for coming to my little rant, and do check out that We Can Do Hard Things podcast episode with Ross Gay, and I know I'm going to go looking for some of his work. I think he wrote a book, something around delights. It's either called The Delights or Book of Delights, but that sounds really interesting. I'm going to check that out. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.